Hello, this is Steve Cook with Life and Air. I'm coming to you with a special call, real quick. Uh, Life and Air has been supporting a mission down in Guatemala now for many years, and throughout the years, there have been different teams going in to Guatemala and to support the school Escuela Integrada. There's a nonprofit here stateside that is called GRACES, GRACES. It stands for Guatemalan. Don't even ask me what it stands for right now. I'm on the spot. I could tell you any other time. But Graces is the stateside nonprofit. I'm here today with Steve Cavanaugh, who is someone who is leading a team. And we're going to be talking about that and what he is doing down there. But Steve, thanks for being with me and sharing your experiences.
Steve, thank you very much for having me.
Um, Steve, I know that I had been going into Guatemala for a number of years before you made your first trip in. And if I recall correctly, you wanted to go a number of times, but for whatever reason, you were putting that off. And eventually, that was a trip that happened. Do you mind sharing with everybody what your first experience was like going into Guatemala?
Um, yeah, I have fond memories of, the trip when I actually got there. When I actually got to Guatemala, it was kind of what I was expecting, but at the same time, it was completely different than what I was expecting. I think one of the most remarkable things about going there and doing the work that we do there and meeting the people that we meet there and working alongside the people that are there is just the beauty of the people there. The people there are just beautiful, beautiful people. The culture there is a beautiful culture, and the uh, just the country is just a beautiful country. It's really amazing to me how happy everyone is there. Despite in many cases what many would just call extreme poverty, there is a happiness and a vibrance and a love that is just palatable, and just you can just tell from the moment that you're there.
Yeah. That was sort of very much like my first experience. I was actually shocked. I mean, your wife was there the year before you came in, so she probably got to tell you a lot, but
Mm-hmm.
my first experience with it was just shock and disbelief.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt this extreme compassion for the poverty and the hardship that many of those people had,
Mm-hmm.
but that it was hard to dwell in that when I saw the joy and the happiness and the love that they experienced. But
Yeah.
in the midst of all that, there was this desire, this tremendous desire to give back in a very meaningful way.
Yeah.
And so that's why I've continued to keep on bringing people in, and I wanted people to experience that as well. And so
Yeah.
on that note, I just want anybody who is watching this video to know that this is we go in there and we go in there to help. I mean, one of the things that we do is to go in there and to make a real impact and to try to change people's lives. The school that we are supporting is a school that was set up initially to help give the poor an education, poor people who would not typically get an education because they can't pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
And these families live on $1 or two less than that per day. And so this school is a real blessing to those families. These kids are able to get an education now where they would not have gotten one before, and it's at least given them a fighting chance to live a better life than
Mm-hmm.
what they would live without having an education. So we're going in there and we're making a significant impact in the lives of the people there in Guatemala within this community. And so that is, ultimately one of the things that we want to do. Now, Steve, you went in there and you got to experience that, and you got to experience the people, you got to experience everything else. But then something struck you, like there was this desire that was welling up in you to go back. Can you tell us a little bit about what that was and how that came about?
I think, Steve, as you know me so well, I think when I look at my gifts, I believe that I've been given a good gift to lead adults. And when we just kind of talked about at the very beginning of this call, the twist that can take place, the paradigm shift that can take place, and I don't normally like to put this out there because to me, it's like the ending of a movie, the twist you never saw coming. You knew something was coming, but you didn't know what it was going to be, or you thought it was over. Then the twist happens. And I think I've watched now adults who go alongside with me, whether it was on that first trip or subsequent trips. I see the light bulb go off. I see it when they finally get that twist. They come in, they see the poverty, they see the people living there, they see the dirt floors, everything else. They see the dollar a day lifestyle and what that looks like, and they have sad looks on their faces. But by the end of the trip, there's a twist that takes place when they realize that the joke's really on us running the rat race in our country with all the brokenness that we have in our country and the brokenness that our money buys us, right? And so, I think that's a big part of the passion for me. And I remember there was a summer now, it was a few summers ago now, when I took my family down there and we stayed with the Neubauer family, Mike and Morgan and his family. And we stayed in a house together with them. And Mike and I were sitting up one night talking. We were up on this beautiful terrace, looking at the moon and the stars and everything, and the volcano silhouette off in the distance. And I said, man, wouldn't it be really cool if we brought some people down here and kind of did a mastermind along with the mission trip and kind of just combined the two? Something like where if we got up in the morning and did a mastermind session till lunchtime and then went out and did some service work out in the field in the afternoon, just to kind of give people a taste. Because, I probably should only speak for myself, but I had never been on a missions trip before going down with you, Steve. And, for me, that brought with it a lot of, perhaps fear and just the unknown. But I do know that a lot of people know what a mastermind is. And a lot of people seek to be in different groups with different people and try out a couple different masterminds a year. So if we could lead people, if we could crack the door open, so to speak, or the camel's nose under the tent, and then get in that way, then we could expose them to the good work that's going on there. And then, you've got people now that are talking about leading their own trips there. So that just allows the mission as a whole to blossom there.
Mm-hmm. And so I'm a back up. I mean, you had this great vision that came out, this MasterMission, but you talked about the twist. And that twist is you're going in, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is what I heard you say. You're going in to help people, and then the reality is you're the one who just got helped.
Yeah.
It's you go in to give, but they give back much more than what you came in there to give.
Right.
And so, yes, that's it's one of the reasons why I love continuing to bring people in. It helps to put so much into perspective and really, I hate using the phrase that it's a life-changing experience, but I just don't know how else to describe it. It is what it is.
Yeah.
The only thing I can emphasize is that it really is a life-changing experience. Yeah. And so with that, your MasterMissions, you've done how many of them now?
So the second one was this year, and we've got a third one planned for the beginning of next year.
And so I don't want you to necessarily share any of the personal stories or things of people, but what can somebody experience, and what does if I'm sitting in that seat, if I decide to go with you on that trip, and I'm sitting with you, what can I expect from that trip?
Sure. So first of all, I'll have to give you the tagline. Our tagline is expect nothing, experience everything, and have the trip of a lifetime. Well, okay, great. What is that? What exactly does that mean? Well, what we do is we do 5 full days. That includes the day of our travel in and then a day of our travel out, which essentially are half days. So we really have 3 full days there. So it really truly does allow somebody to just dip their toe in there. They don't have to commit to 2 weeks or anything like that. It's a very, very short trip, but we pack a lot into that trip. We take care of the lodging, which we're in a very nice gated community that is essentially, we'll have 2 houses and we split the team up. I should say we can only take 12 people, including myself. So really I can only bring 11 people along. No, that's not right. I can bring 12 people along, plus myself. But what we do is we split up. So, essentially 6 people in each house. And these are like these are like very nice. I would consider them to be 5-star Airbnbs.
I've been there. They're
You know,
phenomenal.
you've been there. It's phenomenal. We have views of the volcanoes. We have our own pool, so it's very safe. That's somebody's concern usually off the bat is it safe or not? Very safe. Like I said, guarded, gated community. We have local ladies come and cook us breakfast every morning. It's just delicious, fresh food. They don't use pesticides and all that stuff there, so the food is phenomenal, and it might as well be a 5-star kitchen there. We do go out to nice restaurants, and we get to mingle with the tourists and everybody else out in town. But beyond that, I mean, what do you get out of it? Is you get some very bright minds pouring into your life and your business. And really, Steve, what happens on these trips is the level of conversation, the vulnerability, the amount of information that is put out there, and the problems that are solved in people's lives are just another level, because their guard is down, their emotions are wide open after seeing everything that they see and experiencing everything they experience, that they're willing to just really solve very tough parts of their lives. So, I mean, we've had, we have one guy who came in just with some heavy addictions, alcohol addiction and drug addiction. And he went home and he was sober. We've had, marriages restored. We've had a lot of relationship issues tackled. We've had issues with, people that, we had one gentleman who came and he hadn't spoke to his dad in several years, and someone challenged him right then and there, gave him the phone and said, call your dad right now. And he put him on speakerphone, called his dad. His dad said, son, I don't know how to tell you this, but I've been praying morning, noon, and night that you would call me. And I'm so sorry for all the stuff that I did in the past. And I've felt too guilty to reach out to you. And yeah, I mean, it's just that relationship was restored right then and there. And I mean, that happened again this year. A very similar thing happened this year. So that's the type of stuff that takes place, when people come, and that's the stuff that lights me up. And that is the leader that I am. The stuff that's going on with the mission work there and everything is great. And we're all for that. And I would say my wife is probably more plugged into that side of things, but I love seeing what is taking place with the school there. We do get to go over to the school. We try not to disrupt the school too much. I know they're kind of trying to do less of that, but we go out and we get to play with the kids at some different areas, and especially the kids that haven't yet been sponsored. And my goal is to always try to get some, everybody to sponsor a kid on the trip. And we don't push that. We don't anything like that. But I think when they get out there and they start playing frisbee with the kids, or whatever, I mean, they start to develop these relationships with them, and they can't go home and really they're not the same with if they're not actively taking part in the mission that's going on there. So that's just a nutshell of what you can expect. But we have a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun when we go there.
Yeah, and so it's reminiscent of many of my experiences. You do something a little bit different, but what if somebody wants to go with you on this next trip that you have coming up? Do you even have spots available?
Yeah, so we do. Like I said, there's only 12 spots available. Right now, if you go to MasterMission.org, MasterMission.org, that's all one word, MasterMission.org, and it will tell you about the trip. There's a video on there, and by the way, I'm about to release a video of this last trip. Our dates for next year are February 3rd through the 7th of 2021, and that's 5 full days of masterminding and serving others. So if you go to mastermission.org, you'll be able to find out. I do already have some slots filled. And I think that as we get closer, many of those who went this year are going to want to return. And then some of those who went last year but didn't get a chance to go because there are no spots available this year will probably want to return. So if you're interested, we need to know sooner rather than later. It's only $2,000 per person, and that includes your participation in the mastermind, all your meals, all your lodging, all your transportation in country, in Guatemala. And that also includes a donation to Graces on your behalf. So we try to do everything to where you really don't have to bring any money if you don't want to. The only other thing you have to pay for above and beyond that would be your plane ticket to get into the country, which we all try to fly in together just to make sure that we hop on the same. We have a private driver that drives us from the airport into Antigua, which is roughly an hour or so, depending on traffic. But everything's covered in that fee. So, super low price for the caliber of people that come along on this trip, and really for the life-changing experience, it's pennies.
I want to just go ahead and really just give a quick endorsement that this is a trip that you want to go on. Like Steve said, many of the people who have been in the past will likely return. That's been my experiences. The biggest issue that I have had with people returning is that they love it so much they start bringing people in themselves, and they're going in on their own trips. And so it is something that will significantly impact you, and you'll likely want to go back. So I want to just encourage just even communication, or let us know, what do you think? If you want to go in, maybe those dates don't work for you, just make comments down below, because there are other teams that do go in, and we can help connect you with some of those as well. But let us know if you're interested in going on a trip at some point or another. Just put a comment down below the video. And if you've got any questions for Steve, can they just comment here to reach you, or would you?
Absolutely. They can comment here to reach me. You can look me up on Facebook. It's Steve Cavanaugh. You can also send me an email. It's stevecavanaugh@gmail.com, Cavanaugh.
So I suspect that Steve's MasterMission is going to sell out probably within the next few weeks. He'll fill up all of the seats, and I don't want to say sell out because there's really nothing to buy, but if you want a seat, you've got to act quickly. Right. And I suspect that it's not going to take long. The moment he puts his video out, the moment this video gets out, those spots are going to be filled. So don't hesitate. It will be a trip that you will not regret. It will be life-changing for you. You're going to establish relationships on that trip that will be lifelong relationships that you will never forget. And so I want to just encourage it. Steve, thank you for all that you're doing. I have such a heart for that school. I appreciate all that you're doing for them. And thanks for changing people's lives.
Well, thank you for everything, Steve. If it wasn't for you, I would never have gone there. And the lives that have been changed as a result, it's all thanks to you going there in the first place. So thank you.
Well, I hope to actually join you on one of those trips one day. It's just hard to get out there for extra ones. So
awesome. I completely understand.
Yeah. All right, Steve, thanks. Have a great day.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.